first is fuel. Anybody who has filled their car up in the last 24 hours, 2 weeks to 2 years, understands that we have a fuel crisis. Shipping companies, garbage companies, anybody who is dependent upon transportation for their business is suffering right now. They're suffering because the fuel costs are getting out of control, and their profits are shrinking, and they're going out of business.
And garbage is a huge growth industry in our community. And what actually got me involved in this work in particular was moving back home to my community to do arts-related projects and then come to terms with the fact that everything that I originally thought about my neighborhood really wasn't true. I thought that it was, an ugly, dirty, poor community that I had to go to because I was broke and needed a place to stay. So I went back to my parents' house. Come to find out that the city was planning on building this huge waste facility that would have brought more than 40% of the city's municipal waste to our waterfront, even though we were already handling 40% of the city's commercial waste. And my whole world just shifted when I realized that, wait a second, the reason why this stuff is being pushed upon my community is because we are poor and because we are of color. Equals in many parts of this country politically expedient to abuse. And I thought, that just ain't right.
I'm encouraged about the conversations happening here today in Kansas City with these visitors from New York and elsewhere on the planet coming together with this community to explore that new reality, to recognize that we have a chance for the first time in history, now that we have science that will inform us of this destructive behavior, we can be informed by that, and our future decisions about community and about connectedness can be regenerative. We can make those patterns much more efficient, eliminate the most destructive of them, and over a period of time, create a future that will give our children and theirs reasons to be optimistic about their future.
Suburban homeowners and people in the cities have been told that they can sustain this lifestyle that we have now well into the future, and there was really no problem that solutions will be found through technology to keep this going, even though we're using over 3 times our allotted resources in America and other Western worlds. We're using up the resources of 3 people for 1 person to maintain this, and I think there's cracks in the veneer. People are actually now starting to realize that we can't keep this up.
The absolute reliance on individuals with individual vehicles will not sustain, will not work, which then calls into question the viability of the suburban and ex-urban lifestyle. Peak oil is a condition where production begins to fall and is rapidly overcome by demand. The implications certainly are, in terms of a classical supply and demand theory, that prices will skyrocket. And I think we're beginning to see the impact of that in ways that other parts of the world have already seen. There's a long-term major impact event certainly going to occur. It's not universally accepted in this country that there is a peak oil problem, but for those of us who believe that there in fact is a peak oil problem, we believe that there's got to be a response to that. Our federal government has not done that, so our municipalities are doing that at this point. We're trying to plan for a reduced oil or no oil future.
Well, I'm a person who absolutely believes there's hope for the future. And to me, the signs that there's hope for the future is more and more people are becoming aware that there are problems and are making personal choices to change those problems. Now, 1 million people making personal choices to save the planet, to save the environment, to be more environmentally sound, I think is one step. The other step that I think is extremely hopeful is that even within the capitalist system, as individuals are making choices to be more environmentally responsible, businesses have to make choices or provide choices to people who want them.
I'm an organic farmer, and organic farmers essentially believe in diversity. We believe in diversity in our soil, we believe in diversity in the plants we grow, we believe in diversity in the insect life that's out in our fields. And I take, and a lot of us take that appreciation for diversity and move it to our human communities and to our own lives. And so what I think makes for a healthy living environment is one that has a lot of diversity. It has mixed uses. It has people walking on the streets. It has cars. It has businesses. It has residences. It has restaurants. It has parks. It has play areas and schools for kids. And I think that in that diversity, there's a lot of health and a lot of vitality. And so for example, in trying to bring farms into the city, we are trying to increase the diversity in the city, the visual diversity, the biological diversity, the diversity of activities.
What we're discovering now is there's a whole new science emerging called biophilia, which is clarifying the fact that by separating ourselves from nature, we've diminished our health, our well-being, our productivity, and our understanding of one another. Actually, Einstein said that we have created a huge delusion by following this Western scientific thought, and our number one priority should be to resolve that delusion and see ourselves as a part of a friendly universe, interconnected and interdependent. That is most celebrated in our suburban communities, where we have, by proximity and isolation in terms of the design of these individual homes and their relationships to cars and freeways, we have further isolated ourselves from nature and from one another.
New urbanism is a field of thought where you can go into an exurban or even a suburban area and retool. Some of the big malls have gone flat. They've gone out of business. You can take those down, put in mixed use with some retail, some housing, people living on top of retail, and make it a walkable area again. So people, instead of getting into their cars, they can walk a couple of blocks down to, a coffee shop or to the grocery store. That's where we have to go to. The new urbanism is the new way of thinking if we can get people who live out there to buy in.
I think that the illusion that has been sold about suburbia has actually probably never been true. And the lie that people have purchased to get in here has led to lots of disillusionment about what it is.
I'm tired, sick and tired, as a matter of fact, of watching as we continuously participate in the building of tributes to all of our collective failures. Wouldn't you rather be building monuments to hope and possibility?
Suicide rate in the entire world. I heard Margaret Wheatley talking recently at a conference, and she said she was asking some Senegalese friends about that. They don't have suicide at all in their culture, and they kind of looked at her dumbfounded and said, why would we even think of suicide? We have each other. And it's just that sort of accentuates the contrast of a worldview and a cultural form where people are connected and related to each other